This video provides guidance on airport airspace protection by the Office of Airports at the Federal Aviation Administration. For information on airport airspace protection, refer to the resources at the end of this video. See www.faa.gov. Images in this video are graphical representations only and are not to scale. This video presents an overview of key directives for evaluating and protecting current and future airspace for the safe landing and takeoff operations of aircraft. See the FAA's video, Airport Obstruction Effects, for a related case study and description of the FAA Obstruction Evaluation Review process. Vertical objects such as buildings, towers, vegetation, and topographical features often surround an airport. Failure to protect an airport's airspace could lead to critical degradations of the airport's safety, efficiency, utility, and air service capability. The FAA uses the following definitions for airspace analyses. An object is any element of natural growth, terrain, or person-made structure whose height is greater than 3 inches above ground. Objects are either temporary or permanent and include, but are not limited to, buildings, cell phone towers, and construction cranes. Various federal regulations and FAA criteria classify an object as an obstruction, obstacle, or hazard depending on its height and/or location relative to an airport. Part 77 contains criteria for classifying objects as obstructions, including exceeding basic heights above ground elevation, its effect on terminal obstacle clearance areas, and penetrations of airport imaginary surfaces. To ensure pilots identify obstructions in flight and maintain a safe distance, obstructions often require marking and/or lighting. An object is an obstacle if it penetrates an obstacle clearance surface for any specific flight procedure. An object is a hazard if an FAA aeronautical study determines the object has a substantial adverse effect upon airport capacity or the safe and efficient use of airspace by aircraft. Let's take this proposed new building as an example. Through an aeronautical study, the FAA has determined the building will have a substantial aeronautical impact to the existing runway. Therefore, it is deemed a hazard to air navigation. Part 77, TERPS, and the Airport Design Advisory Circular are the 3 key directives for evaluating and protecting airspace. Part 77, Surfaces. Part 77 is a federal regulation governing airspace protection. It sets forth the requirements for 1. Notifying the FAA of proposed construction. 2. Defining obstruction criteria. 3. Describing aeronautical studies to assess hazard status. See Section 77.3 in Part 77 for definitions of terms that relate to this regulation. Airports, planners, engineers, government authorities, and developers use Part 77 to identify possible obstructions to air navigation early in the planning and development process. Obstructions to air navigation may impact airport operations, including limitations on available runway length, approach minimums, aircraft types, and payload limitations. Part 77 defines surfaces for each runway. The FAA classifies an object that penetrates these surfaces as an obstruction to air navigation. These surfaces include primary, approach, transitional, horizontal, and conical. Many of the surface components' dimensions vary based on the runway's capabilities and approach category. A bird's eye crosscut view illustrates these surfaces in a vertical perspective. Part 77 approach surfaces increase in length as the approach category increases from visual approach to precision instrument approach. TERPS surfaces. The FAA uses TERPS criteria to design and evaluate instrument flight procedures at an airport. For example, the development of a precision approach to a specific runway. TERPS criteria specifies the minimum measure of obstacle clearance considered by the FAA to provide a satisfactory level of vertical protection for instrument procedures. TERPS surfaces vary depending on the specific instrument procedure for a given runway. Shown are surfaces pertaining to an instrument landing system or ILS approach, a missed approach surface, and a departure surface. The FAA uses these surfaces in the evaluation of instrument runway procedures. AC 150/5300-13 defines airport design approach and departure surfaces for visual and instrument runways based on visibility minimums and procedure type. Runway approach and departure surfaces are similar to TERP surfaces but limited in scope and extents. For example, the instrument approach surface defined in airport design is based solely on the TERP's visual portion of the final approach segment. When planning and designing instrument runways or locating instrument runway thresholds, coordinate with the FAA Flight Procedures team. For runways with visual operations only, the approach surface has a trapezoidal shape and is shorter and steeper than surfaces for instrument approaches. The FAA provides runway departure surfaces to ensure clear and safe standard instrument departure procedures. These surfaces protect aircraft during the initial climb after takeoff. An aeronautical study is the official method by which the FAA determines whether an object, such as a building or utility tower, constitutes a hazard to air navigation. Part 77, TERPs, and the approach and departure surfaces contained in the Airport Design AC are the three key directives for the FAA in evaluating and protecting airspace through the aeronautical study process. For more information pertaining to aeronautical studies, contact your local airport district or regional office. These reference materials provide additional guidance on airport airspace protection. Visit www.faa.gov to find related documents, videos, and tools. For additional information on airport airspace protection, contact the FAA's Office of Airports. The FAA appreciates your interest. Safe flying!